talk to you today about what is in your knitting bag. What tools do you carry around with you that you think you need to have if you're going out? I always have a smaller bag like this that I put inside of whatever bag I'm carrying around so that I've got everything with me if I'm out and about and I need something. And there are certain things that you need to carry along with you. I have been guilty of the bag getting fuller and fuller as time goes on, but I've just kind of cleaned it out and I've got what I think are the necessities now. And please leave your comments if you have different things that you think are pretty essential. The first thing I think you need is a pen. I like these really thin Sharpies, other than they do bleed through the page a little bit, but I love how they write, and I've got one of these in my bag so that I can make notes on my pattern. I've also got some stitch tubes. And these are the tubes that you can stick on the end of your knitting needle and pull it through your live stitches on your knitting. So you just stick the point of the needle into the end, and then you can just pull this through the stitches, and that way you can stretch your knitting out a little bit more than you can when it's on the needles. Great for trying on a sweater. I've got a couple of different lengths of those here. Or putting in your sleeves when you split for sleeves. Putting in your sleeves when you split for sleeves. Boy, that's hard to say. But anyway, you'll find more and more uses for these the longer you have them. They're just really handy to have along. Next thing you need, a good pair of scissors. And these are scissors that I got from Devin at Knitting McPurley in a nice case. But any good pair of small scissors, and if they look pretty, all the better. So you definitely need scissors, a tape measure, just a small retractable tape measure is always handy. Most directions for patterns have something that you're going to have to measure, whether it's the height of the hat or you need to measure the width of the sweater to make sure your gauge is on track. That is always handy. And along with the tape measure, it's good to have a smaller tool to measure smaller distances. Again, good for checking your gauge. Also, this has all the needle gauge holes, so you can, if you've got a needle in your bag and you don't know what size it is and the markings have worn off, which they do, you can just stick it in here and see what size you are in US sizes and in millimeters. So that's handy. This is one of my favorite knitting things. And for those of us who like to print out our patterns, this highlighter tape is just the best. It's kind of like a Post-it note in that you can stick it on and pull it off and move it. I use this all the time, and you can use one length of tape over and over again throughout the time that you're knitting a different specific project. And one little package, one little roll of this tape will last you for years and years, even if you use it a lot. And I use it a lot. So that is a handy thing. Oh, some hand balm. This happens to be, again, from Knitting McPurley. But your hands get dried out when you're knitting, and you don't want to snag your knitting on your rough hands. Always good to have some hand balm. And this comes in this nice little pack that's, works kind of like deodorant that you can roll on and then just put on the top of your hand and work it in. and it's not greasy, or you don't feel like it's getting on your knitting. So once you put it on, you can start knitting right away. So some Knitter's Hand Balm, perfect to have in your bag. Stitch markers. These are magnetic stitch markers, and I really, really like these a lot. I kind of like anything magnetic. I don't know what it is, but these will stick to the bag safe on my phone. So if I have to take some off and I don't have my bag out or container, I can just set it on my phone and it's going to stick to it, which is kind of cool. Where I knit most of the time, I've got a table by the couch, and I've got a little magnetic holder that I've got lots of stitch markers in. But you always need stitch markers when you're out, and you know how they like to jump off and disappear, so you need to have plenty of these around. Sometimes the magnets do help, but they're not foolproof. I've also got some Brittany Birch cable needles. Now, I do a lot of cabling, so I like to keep all 3 sizes, and these come together in one pack. So, cable needles. The reason I like these so well is they're small enough that they're not obtrusive when you're cabling, and they've got just this little bit of indentation in the center, so if you stick that in your stitches before you hold them in the front or hold them in the back, they stay put. So Brittany Birch cable needles, always in my Notions bag. This little Fix-It tool, I forgot the name of it, but I will stick it up on the screen here so that you can see it. But this is great for fixing stockinette stitch, and there is also a way that makes it really easy to ladder up garter stitch or seed stitch. And I'll link, I have a video tutorial on that over on Knitwiser, so I'll link that too. But this Fix-A-Stitch, I believe is what it's called, is a tool that you'll always use. And if you just need a crochet hook, you know, there's one on each end. So that is another good thing to carry around with you. Tapestry needle. If you change colors, or if you're finishing your project, you need to work your ends in. Maybe you're sitting at the doctor's office and you're not in the mood to knit, but you've got something with you that just needs a few ends worked in. You've got your tapestry needle, so you can take care of that. Now this is a cool little tool that I got a couple of years ago, I believe off of Etsy. And it's got a needle on each end, and then kind of a flexible, bendable part in the middle. I don't know what it's called, but I do like it if, say, you drop a stitch and maybe it's a couple rows down and you want to wait till you get back to it to fix it. You can just stick this in and bend it around and know that you're not going to lose that stitch. And you can go around in a circle if you want to. So it's a handy little tool. I think I got it in a pack of 2, and I still have both of them. That's kind of amazing. But this little tool, and I'll see if I can find it and put a link down for that too. Okay, on kind of the same lines, I've got some progress keepers and some of these just little light bulb markers that you can clip on. You can clip them on at any time for a drop stitch, or maybe you want to add a marker somewhere back on your needle, not right where you are. So you can open these and close them. And then progress keepers. If I'm working on a project, especially a bigger project, I kind of want to know how far I got in the day. So I'll have a couple of these. So I'll work, I can tell where I started that day and then where I finished. And then I'll leave the finished one there and use the second one for the progress the next day. So progress keepers are great for that. And the little light bulb, um, they work like safety pins, but the little light bulb safety pins are great for progress keepers or for marking something that you need to mark. So you always need some of those. And then lastly, the last thing in my bag is a couple of these little quilt clips. And